the boss has some plan, what is it?
The real big boss is working separately from us to create his new nation.
New nation?
A military nation above and apart from all. The true outer heaven. Something created to maintain world balance. Independent of the struggles for supremacy, for personal profit, the cycles of revenge between countries. It'll be an army, all right, but more. Big Boss is building a nation. But until it's complete, we support the other Big Boss. The Phantom carries on his legend, his meme. That is Big Boss's plan.
Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain released 9 years ago. Players take on the role of Venom Snake, an avatar of ourselves brainwashed into believing he himself is Big Boss, to unwittingly draw the world's attention on himself while the real Big Boss secretly builds the nation of Outer Heaven that the original game was set in. As an avatar, players are given complete freedom to shape half the legend of Big Boss however they like with their choice of military tactics and aesthetic of the private army Diamond Dogs. But what if Venom Snake was restricted to just the arsenal at his disposal in the first Metal Gear game? A pseudo-canonical run of Metal Gear Solid 5, so to speak. This is the Outer Heaven Challenge Run. The goal is to complete every regular main op using only weapons, equipment, buddies and vehicles that match those that featured in the original Metal Gear, all with an S rank. And I don't just mean what Solid Snake could use in that game, I'm including everything that he went up against as well. But to start with what he could use, we have a custom grade 3 AMD 114 pistol as the handgun, which also matches Venom's pistol of choice in Metal Gear Solid 5's cutscenes, a custom grade 5 Zeev submachine gun as the submachine gun, a custom grade 4 Grom 11 as the rocket launcher. Venom's grade 8 blast arm takes on the role of the RC missile launcher, but that's not an excuse to have it equipped all the time. I had to give the grenade launcher some thought between whether it would aesthetically match how it looked in the manual or in-game sprite, but luckily there's an alternative that matches the gameplay of firing 2 grenades followed by a cooldown, the grade 3 Fackel G33. And placeable weapons are the grade 5 C4 as plastic explosives and grade 6 ATB mines as mines. The list of items and equipment isn't anywhere near as extensive. Grade 5 MBGs as infrared goggles, grade 5 Phantom cigar in place of cigarettes, and the grade 4 water resistant cardboard box for the cardboard box. Plus, guard posters on the box can act as the enemy uniform. When it comes to Fulton extractions, they have to be done with Fulton balloons and not the Fulton wormholes. For outfits, Venom's limited to combat fatigues, but free to use any camo pattern best suited for the mission. For everything that the player couldn't use in Metal Gear but was still present in Outer Heaven, that list is as follows. A grade 5 AM MRS-4 assault rifle, customised to match the grade 1 specs minus a suppressor, just like the one Venom uses in cutscenes. D-mines to act as the anti-personnel mines that Solid Snake could fall victim to. D-Dog can be brought along with his naked equipment, having him fit the role of Outer Heaven's attack dogs. Vehicles that can be brought along are the Zegra 6T supply truck, the M84A magloader tank, P-Quad side miniguns can also be used, and if you aren't opting for S ranks, you could always call them in as fire support. Finally, weapons used by boss characters are also permitted, and Venom can use them anytime that he likes. But in the interest of time, the Dr. Madnar decoy is emulated by active decoys, and the rest I'll save covering for when they show up in the run. And one final bending of the rules, if a mission in MGS5 has story or style reasons to incorporate any sandbox elements that aren't featured on this list, they too can be permitted. With all that laid out,
V has come to.
V has come too.
we've woken from a 9-year coma, escaped a nightmarish hospital and linked up with Ocelot. It's off to Afghanistan for our first mission. Episode 1, Phantom Limbs. Kazuhira Miller's been captured by the Soviets and it's up to us, fresh out of a 9-year coma, to go rescue him.
But we need more intel. If you just go charging into Dehar, you'll be putting both your lives at risk.
But what's the point in bringing a horse geared up for charging at battle if you don't go charging into battle? Prisoners are easy to break out when there's no guards.
Now go! Let the legend come back to life.
Having charged into Guandé, the opening strike was to eliminate the front line of defence, then moving in on foot to cut off external communications. This prevented the remaining Soviet troops being able to call for reinforcements before being dispatched themselves.
Kaz, it's me. I'm here to get you out.
Snake.
With Guandé captured and Kaz liberated, this meant I could call in Pequod directly to the village rather than head out to a rendezvous point. Good thing too, you never know what might be lurking out there in the wild. With the mission complete and Venom's memory still shaky, Kaz opts to retell the events from 9 years ago. The night of MSF's final mission and downfall, headed by none other than...
Kept you waiting, huh?
Ground Zeroes may not have the exact weapons used for this challenge run, but it's got acceptable substitutes. Cypher double agent Paz is alive and Chico's been captured, having attempted his own botched rescue mission. There's many POWs who'd do anything to be free from the clutches of America. The Times demand a rescue mission from an American prison camp. And if the Times demand it...
We'll be revolutionaries, criminals, terrorists.
Cue the music.
Dogs of war for 9 whole years. That ends today. Now you're not sleeping, and we're not junkyard hounds. We're diamond dogs.
Big Boss is such a legend already, he could walk into America and they'd welcome him back like the prodigal son. Case in point, Episode 3, A Hero's Way. America's hired us to eliminate a Spetsnaz commander. Intel reports that a group of soldiers are on their way from a nearby outpost to meet with them. Perfect for drawing him into a line of fire, but I had something else in mind. Deploying with a supply truck, I raced to head off the inbound soldiers before they reached the Shago Calais. Dropping a cardboard box in the middle of the road, this caused them to abandon the jeep and inspect it when they arrived, with one of the Frees staying by the jeep on his own, allowing me to sneak up behind and have him act as a living delivery device for some C4. It's a good thing the blinking red light in the dark of night and beeping doesn't draw attention. All I had to do was let them carry on their way and go to the meeting.
Hey, that was target confirmed dead. Mission complete. Great work.
Episode 4, C2W, is one of those very rare missions that was intentionally designed to be done in a mere minute without ever leaving Pequod. So long as you've destroyed the anti-air radar and deploy at the hot zone, you can use the minigun to tear the free antennas apart like wet tissue paper. Episode 5, Over the Fence. The Soviet engineer who designed our bionic arm is in need of a breakout from Waxen Barracks following a failed defection.
Something very familiar about all this.
The barracks is a huge facility and the Soviets have security spread thin. So thin I can just run straight at the base, climb the cliff face and slip in via the storage area. I didn't need to stop until reaching the one guard on prisoner detail. After a brief bit of oxygen deprivation once his back was turned, I floated the engineer through the roof, a swift demonstration of his expertise to the face of a guy in a riot suit, and exfiltrated with some precious metals to add insult to injury.
Flawless work. You never cease to amaze, boss.
Episode 6, Where Did the Bees Sleep? The CIA want one of their secret weapons back before the Soviets get their hands on it. Making an explosive entrance to Desmasy-Liman, this drew the Soviet forces out of the fort and focused on Pequod, allowing me to sneak in to find the honeybee with minimal resistance, save this one riot suit that stood up well to the grenade launcher. Speaking of which...
You look well rested, big boss. Well, I'm sure you'll see the bigger picture eventually. If you get out of here alive.
It's the missed unit. The The skulls!
Skullface and his travelling freak show make their debut in Afghanistan, and surprisingly, the misunit skulls are taken out in fewer grenades than the riot suit guy. I knew the FACO was the weakest of the 3 possible grenade launchers I thought about using for this challenge, but I have to admit I underestimated it. Episode 7, Red Brass. Similar to A Hero's Way, a meeting is taking place with 3 Soviet officers we're tasked to eliminate. Dare I repeat the same tactic with the C4? That's not necessary. It'd be best not to raise suspicion and risk having the meeting called off, and instead wait for the meeting to start. But how to reach them when they're inside a building? Simple. Send in an RC missile from a distance to fly past all the guards on lookout, then exfiltrate without anyone ever knowing I was there, after a celebratory vaulting over our transport truck. Episode 8, Occupation Forces. The mission is to locate details on a tank unit heading through the area and to destroy them when they show up. A little bit of mine clearance was in order as I made my way into the village by way of rock climbing, followed by some light stalking of a riot suit soldier. Having found the files, I almost made a perfectly clean escape if not for this one guy, who hopefully enjoyed witnessing the grace that Venom Snake moves with jumping off roofs in his final moments. Making my way along the route the tanks would be taking, I primed the path with mines and C4 for that extra kick, and took a position on high ground to watch the spectacle unfold.
Mission complete, boss.
Episode 9, Back Up, Back Down. If you've ever seen my previous loadout challenge runs, you'll know I've come to hate this mission, and it's been my own well-deserved fault for only ever opting to camp at the bottleneck, then let the targets come to me. This run was the complete opposite. Bringing a tank and armed to the teeth with explosives, I deployed at the most southern landing zone, just off of Hatay Palace. Immediately opening fire on the first target that yet to set off, then flooring it north to catch target 2 in a sweet spot, followed up by turning on the spot to tank snipe target 3 as it prowled into view. The prisoner transport and supply truck that spawn in this mission can disrupt it in funny ways. If they're spawned in, that can prevent the target vehicles from spawning in. Heading north to blockade the prisoner transport, I made sure to lay down some mines for target 4 along the way. This is going to sound weird. Target 5 is waiting inside Yako Obu outpost and took off just as I put an end to the prisoner transport. At the same time, target 4 was taken out by the mines I set up moments earlier. This was when the supply truck spawned in, but my main priority was getting rid of targets 6 and 7 that were now heading in from the south. With all targets eliminated, that moves on to phase 2. And remember what I said about the prisoner transport and supply truck disrupting this mission? Well, in this scenario, because the supply truck had spawned, that prevented the third tank of phase 2 from spawning in until it had been dealt with. At this point, I was already in place to deal with the first tank, the one that patrols the southern third of the mission area, which gave me just enough time to start heading north, put the tank on 2 wheels, or 1 tread, and hit the supply truck just before it went over the horizon, allowing the third tank of phase 2 to spawn in. Finally, I could take a moment to breathe as it would take a while for the remaining targets to arrive, but when they did, I didn't waste any time and shot on sight. All that was left was to draw the gunship over for a closer shot. One sly shot over a ridge and the mission was complete, all without ever triggering reflex mode. One of the most action-packed regular missions, done without anyone ever laying eyes on their opponent. Episode 10, Angel with Broken Wings. The mission is to rescue Mujahideen soldier Malak, scheduled to be transported from the Hatay Palace to Yako Ubu. Finally, said it on the first time that time. This was going to be a simple case of roadblock and pincer detonation of C4 to destroy the transport's APC escort, but I was caught off guard by 2 wandering radio soldiers. They had to go, but by the time they'd been dealt with, I had mere seconds to plant a C4 and get out the line of sight. Thankfully, Soviets are more upset by a mystery truck blocking their path than their own comrades getting blown up behind them. These messed up priorities left them completely exposed for a viciously silent elimination, allowing me to load Malak onto the truck and get out of there. And never mind the other prisoners being killed, our mission was to rescue Malak, and only Malak. Episode 11, Cloaked in Silence. With our last mission to kill a coma patient ending with her falling out of a window on fire, Quiet's entered Afghanistan to hunt us down. That's not a problem. What is a concern, however, is that this challenge doesn't permit any sniper rifles. I could have brought the Grom 11, but I gave it a shot with the MRS-4 for starters. A duel of signature weapons. And Quiet was of the belief that running straight at the man with an assault rifle to drop a martyrdom grenade was her best strategy. Capturing her alive and bringing her back to Mother Base, allow me to gush for a moment. The scene with Mother Base in rusty colour pattern and Venom in black Ocelot camo with the scarf, whilst surrounded by Diamond Dog's own Ocelot unit, is a thing of beauty. I really wish you could get a squad of these guys as a body option.
Boss, you are going to regret this. That woman...
I know. She knows our location. Either way, one of these days we're gonna have to kill her. But now is not the time. When the time comes, I'll pull the trigger.
Episode 12, Hellbound. With selling out MSF not enough to satiate his treachery fetish, Huey's made contact with Diamond Dogs in the hopes of being extracted. You may think I'm being harsh, so let's see what a vindictive genocidal maniac thinks about him.
I may dwell in the dark, but I refuse to be judged by your standards, traitor!
Well, alright then. The time bonus for this mission is crucial if you're going for an S rank. And if you're not going to fast travel with the cardboard box, you best be able to do a flawless run of the camp. With fast travel, however, you end up in a brilliant position. At the very back of the camp, behind the majority of forces you'd have to sneak through otherwise. Of course, I messed up taking out the guards outside Emmerich's lab, which drew the attention of a soldier piloting a walker gear. But he made a fatal error, choosing to poke his head over the protective shield, saving me the trouble of a combat alert, and the mortician having to prep him for an open casket funeral. Making contact with Huey, and not using his walker gear, Pequod opts for the most mindless strategy of hovering outside the main gate while I make my way over for the pickup. But I can add to that. The base camp is littered with explosive barrels, perfect for drawing all nearby Soviets' attention towards a single spot, rather than risk one or two of them spotting me on the way out. A surprise ambush from Sahelanthropus forces Pequod to break off his pickup run and abandon us.
Today is the day weapons learn to walk upright!
But I've got an advanced strategy to render it the most useless Metal Gear to ever exist, hiding behind a rock on slightly elevated ground. Having made good our escape, that's the end of the main Afghanistan section of the game.
He claims that what they're doing in Africa is the missing piece. A weapon to surpass Metal Gear.
Meaning it's not just another nuke.
Episode 13, Pitch Dark. Our next battlefield is actually northwest of where Outer Heaven would later be located. We've got to shut down an oil facility and save the environment. It's a long drive there, and rather than sneak through Massa Village, I circle around east in a supply truck and drive straight across the barren marshlands. This meant I could enter with grey urban camo, with no need to worry about stealth until reaching the facility. Having jumped the wall, I quietly took the long way around to plant C4 on the oil tank. Yes, I could have simply gone for the control switch then used the blast arm or Grom 11 to destroy the tank from a distance.
We wouldn't want to make things too easy now, would we?
With the tank rigged to blow and scaling up to the control switch, I realised I was taking a little longer than anticipated when the sun started to rise. Having hit the control switch and jumping out of the window, problems struck almost immediately, resulting in a game of Ring Around the Rosies. When the guard lost interest, it was just a case of retracing my steps over to some cargo containers, detonating the C4, and taking to the skies. Episode 14, Lingua Franca. Several prisoners are due to be interrogated. Our mission is to rescue the Viscount. No, not the mint chocolate biscuits. This sellout looking to save his own skin. The mission expects you to tail an interpreter for interrogations until you find the Viscount. Luckily, I'm well versed in this mission for other challenge runs that I already know where to find him. Believe me, an all tasks run of this mission is one thing, but all tasks plus S rank, no retries? If you're enjoying this, you cannot comprehend how grateful I would be if you were to give the video a like as well as subscribe. I have an even bigger challenge run of this game coming in the near future. But back to the here and now. Episode 15, Footprints of Phantoms. This is another one of those rare missions that was intentionally designed to be completed without ever leaving Pequod. Only instead of the minigun this time around, a more effective choice of weapon is to just fire 2 RPGs, one from each side to wipe out each pair of walker gears, and one more to take out this AA gun for good measure. Episode 16, Traitors Caravan. Local PFs are sending a truck loaded with malachite and yellowcake to Cypher as payment for being supplied walker gears. We'll be taking one of those trucks for ourselves. Heading straight for the airport, there's a gate on the west side that leads into the power supply, and right next to the truck.
These bastards are pulling guard duty. That proves the cargo is headed to Cypher.
Well, I'm not interested in fighting these guys. The objective is retrieving the truck intact. This is the first time I've encountered unalerted skulls in this run, so let me explain something I would have done back in episode 1. If the mist or armoured skulls are not in combat with you, they will slowly stagger their way towards you. No matter the situation, they always know exactly where you are. Luckily, there's a way to divert their attention, in the form of active decoys. Throwing them between the fence and the wall of the small building that the truck's parked in front of, the skulls will try and destroy the decoys, but being in such an enclosed space makes it really difficult for them, buying me extra time and leaving them too distracted to notice their target flying away. Armoured skulls, smooth brains. Episode 17. Rescue the intel agents. With the vast number of jobs Diamond Dogs are receiving, Big Boss can't be in two places at the same time, so it's time for the combat units to start picking up the slack. Enter Shotmaker, our first boss character this run, armed with a signature weapon, a custom grade 7 S1000 EXT shotgun, and he's on prisoner rescue. One of the two agents has escaped into a nearby forest, and with boots on the ground, Shotmaker hauls ass over there, laying down suppressing fire on what would be an otherwise inbound jeep of search party reinforcements. With use of MVGs to highlight and eliminate the search party, and taking them out loud with a shotgun causes our man to audibly panic, which does help in pinpointing his location. Thanks to his intel, he relays the exact location of our other agent. Although badly wounded, I can't fool him out. So it's a sprint for glory out of the hot zone with him on our back, and my cinematic camera work miraculously not getting me killed by a directional mine. Episode 18. Blood Runs Deep. The general of Mbele squad wants us to wipe out 6 of his soldiers. One's managed to find a place among the ranks of the PF stationed at Bampevi Plantation, the other 5 are imprisoned at Kungenga Mine. There's several tanks patrolling between outposts in this mission. I managed to cut off one on the way to Bampevi Plantation, then take it out with RC missiles, although this did attract the attention of a gunship in the area as well. That I did not have the best of luck taking down. Making a tactical retreat / advancement to the plantation, I found the target just out in the open. A perfectly clean shot to make up for the gunship fiasco. Having reached the mine, I got one last use out of the blast arm, a bit of sniping with a pistol and made contact with the target.
Bingo. You know what to do.
Okay.
The kids don't get hurt. No matter what, you bring him back alive.
Yeah, for as much as Kojima said he wanted to tackle taboos with this game, killing kids for the sake of a mission objective was still a line he wouldn't cross. On the other hand,
The enemy spotted.
stomping on their heads to knock them unconscious, faulting them out to save myself the trouble of escorting them to the helicopter for pickup, that's totally fine.
See, kid's a natural.
No. He's no natural.
Boss, you had something against Miller?
Episode 19, On the Trail. It's time for another boss character to do some work. This time, Fire Trooper. I considered using D-Walker as the stand-in for Fire Trooper, since that actually has a flamethrower weapon, but I believe we can make do with petrol bombs. I doubt anyone on the receiving end of either would prefer the alternative. With Kaz suffering a bout of confusion of priorities between pre-established intel and what Fire Trooper is able to find out in the field,
That looks like the target. We have no fix on the target, not even a predicted field of movement.
the enemies standing so close to each other was their fatal mistake.
Mission complete, boss.
Episode 20, Voices. The kids from Kungenga Mine have paid us in diamonds to rescue their commander, Shabani, from a place called the Devil's House. The route there is under heavy guard, but I was able to get close as possible by going slightly off-road with a supply truck, before having to make the rest of the way on foot. The stealthiest wild dog in all of Africa gets a jump on me, the first line of defense is easily distracted by a decoy, and the final few guards are no trouble at all.
Shabani, your boy sent me.
The boy back here, bun. You. Burn with the rest of them.
Thinking back to the hospital and how much trouble the man on fire had with the sprinkler system, the whole area is covered in sources of water. One blown up fuel tank is enough to knock him into a shallow pool and extinguish his rage. The mission is a complete failure.
Mission complete, and how? They're gonna tell stories about this one, boss.
But what are the kids gonna do if we don't refund them their diamonds? Start an uprising? They've got Shabani's necklace and they'll be damn happy with it. Episode 21, The War Economy. We've got to eliminate a PF commander stationed at Nova Braga Airport. A rocket launcher at the window did the job. Episode 22, Retake the Platform. Mother Base has come under attack. The R&D platforms have been overrun and staff taken hostage. There's no rank for this mission, but it is a main op, and we already lost MSF 9 years ago. If these copycats have a death wish, I'll be happy to accommodate them.
Eliminated. Boss, you're really something else. Mother Base is in the clear. We're safe now. All thanks to you.
Turns out their commander is former MSF member Mosquito. He actually escaped MSF's destruction on the same chopper as Big Boss. Fed disinformation from Cypher that Big Boss sold out his comrades to go into hiding. He should have checked his sources. Now he's got the nightmare of surviving 2 slaughters to keep him company in his sleep. Episode 23, The White Mamba. This African heat is getting a bit much for Venom. Going shirtless for a while won't hurt. And if it does, scars are sexy, who cares? This challenge run is not friendly to this mission, but thankfully, the active decoys are miracle workers for this mission, pulling their weight to distract the kids, or even knock them out. This helps me thin out the number of child soldiers who'd be able to fire off a few cheap shots while dealing with their commander.
Pedina ange yandi, yina yabo ke bangaka, nyoke yampembe? Kimamosa ke somomononde. Ya zini bibuti pusakan geve.
With an aggressive opening of a punch to the face, the weight of a grown man flying towards him and being thrown off a roof, both Eli and the remaining child soldiers failed to land a single hit.
You lose, Commander. We got rules around here. Never draw a weapon on a fellow soldier. You got that? Anyone here can use a knife or a gun. What you're gonna learn is how to use your head. When you get that under your belt, then you're free to leave.
Episode 24, Close Contact. These next 3 missions are all going to feature the last 3 remaining boss characters. The first, Dirty Duck. This was a tricky one since boomerangs aren't a weapon in Metal Gear Solid 5. Given his character of hiding behind hostages, a riot shield seemed the most appropriate substitute. And speaking of cowards, I'm sure he and the male doctor would get on like a house on fire given his attempt to flee and leave the female doctor to her fate. Firing off some shots to draw the enemy away from the tent, the shield actually saves Dirty Duck from getting hit. With the enemy in disarray, they never noticed the two prisoners being flattened out. One sprint to a nearby hot zone border and it's mission complete. Episode 25, Aim True, Ye Vengeful. A mission full of hostile child soldiers. I was going to need something more than the active decoys and CQC to handle this, possibly even engaging in open combat. I'd need Bloody Brad. Well, the plan was to go mental as a staff member with the Savage ability, wearing the parasite suit and using armor parasites for near invulnerability, but that actually causes some problems in this mission. If a single bullet hits a child soldier, even if it's from friendly fire or a ricochet, the game counts that as you shooting them and is an instant game over. Instead, I had to opt for getting the General's number 2 out under a nail-bitingly tense crouch walk with the kids in curious pursuit, but we made it.
Amazing. Mission complete. That right there is why you're the best, boss. The one and only.
Episode 26, Hunting Down. The last of the boss characters, Machine Gun Kid. Armed with a custom Grade 7 ALM-48 machine gun, as well as bringing along an attack dog for sniffing out targets, we set up an ambush for a human trafficker. I considered setting up a distraction with C4, but any disturbance causes this guy to flee. Instead, I lay in wait, picked off 2 escorts silently, let the rest of the team carry on without ever noticing, and when the positioning was right, I let him have it.
Target confirmed dead. Mission complete. Great work.
Episode 27, Root Cause. Mother Base has been hit by a mysterious viral infection, and one of our intel team who has information on this outbreak has been captured. Making a mad dash over to the outpost where he's detained, I just managed to catch up to him before he set off in a stolen truck. If he did set off, I'd have no way of stopping him. I thought I only had a brief grace period to Fulton out the truck before he set off. Instead, the game considered me close enough to rescue him, so he fell limp. But I couldn't stop myself Fultoning out the truck anyway, which exposed us both to this guard who took a very keen interest. Firing off one shot to break his pursuit and take cover, it was a sprint to P-Quad and on to the next mission. Episode 28, Code Talker. Unlike Quiet, a single assault rifle is not going to be enough to take out these 4 sniper skulls. Now was the time to bring a Grom 11 as well as the blast arm. I've played this mission many times, and the skulls were very adamant about a behaviour I've not really seen much of in the past. My guess is it's due to using explosive weaponry. It's regarded as so aggressive the skulls will go into this sort of counter-attack mode. They'll shoot you if they see you, but it doesn't trigger reflex mode, or move into the full-blown combat phase of the fight. However, with patience, and later taking full advantage of the RC capabilities of the blast arm, I was able to take out all 4 skulls and proceed to the mansion. D-Dog's ability to sniff out enemies came in extremely useful when entering the back door of the mansion, saving me from walking straight into the sight of 2 guards who were doing a loop of the hallway that leads to Code Talker. It was just a case of letting them pass, choking out the 1 guard outside, and moving in.
I've been waiting, Tilly. Look familiar? It's infecting my men. How do we...
Silence. Or death.
What do you...
It could be in here. Stay quiet. Your life depends on it. The parasite has infected your band. Those are its larvae. They enter the throat and attach themselves to the vocal cords. Sustained exposure to a particular sound triggers copulation. The resulting larva then feast on the host lungs, killing it. They attack only those who speak a certain language.
Is there a cure?
Once symptoms manifest, lava have already infested the alveoli, at which point nothing can be done. There is a way to halt the onset, which would prevent infection.
I need your help.
If my children have upset the Rojun of the world, it falls to me to set it right.
With Code Talker in tow, D-Dog further proved his worth by setting up a distraction to draw 2 guards outside the door of the mansion, inside, and giving me the opportunity to slip away through the cliffs undetected.
It turns the male parasites into females, preventing reproduction. Your infection will be contained, but you and your men will also be rendered infertile. That is the price you must pay to regain your speech.
That freak show back there. They the work of your children too?
Have you seen one of their vehicles?
Big yellow cake.
Captured a convoy they were escorting. Cargo, some kind of mineral.
What became of it? The metallic Archaea.
Clouds ahead!
Episode 29, Metallic Archaea. Remember those smooth brains from Traitors' Caravan? They've evolved, and they want revenge.
We are their quarry.
Well, I've taken on the Mist unit and the Sniper unit. Let's make it free for free. Episode 30, Skullface. Here comes some bending of the rules in this and the next mission. It's time to take revenge on Skullface, and if we're doing it in style! Suited and booted in a leather jacket.
Unless we stop him, he'll go down in history a conquering victor. We can't let that happen. Wipe him out. Don't leave any trace of his existence.
All we know is that Skullface's plans are on the verge of fruition. We need to stop him while we still can.
This mission is actually very easy to do a no traces run of. It's a simple case of sticking to the left hand side all the way through OKB0 and having the patience to let guards pass if they're heading your way. Of course, I would recommend skipping all the cutscenes so you don't lose out on the time bonus. That includes the Jeep ride.
You too have known loss. And that loss torments you still.
You, me, we've no place to run, nowhere to hide.
And that is why I'll show you my demon.
I was born in a small village. I was still a child when we were raided by soldiers. Foreign soldiers. Torn from my elders, I was made to speak their language. With each new post, my masters changed, along with the words they made me speak. With each change, I changed too. A philosopher once said, "It is no nation we inhabit, but a language." Make no mistake, our native tongue is our true fatherland. My fatherland. My truth was stolen from me. All that's left is the future. And mine is revenge. An English strain of the vocal parasite. I will exterminate the English language. Sahelanthropus will take the first giant step into a brave new world. It is the bell with which a world trodden upon by words declares its independence. It's man's thirst for revenge that drives the times. Just as you live because of me, he lives because of you. Who is doing this? Such a lust for revenge? Who?
Episode 31, Sahelanthropus. Venom said something at the end of episode 29.
I'm gonna need backup on this one.
Which also leans into what Miller says at the start of this mission.
I'll rally Diamond Dogs and provide backup.
I appreciate the support from Pequod, but is that it? Well, there's two extra forms of backup I decided to utilise. Quiet, and a bombardment from fire support. I assume it's because there's no normal enemies on this mission, but for some reason you can use bombardment here, and it doesn't negate your S rank.
Where's the other?
Very close to you. Mission complete, boss.
Kill me! Kill me! Revenge!
Anyone can give up his fight by laying down arms. But the feeling of holding a gun, that we'll never forget. Like our lost limbs, the sensation lingers. We hold our rifles in missing hands. We stand tall on missing legs. We stride forward on the bones of our fallen. Then, and only then, are we alive. This pain is ours, and no one else's. The secret weapon we wield, out of sight. We will be stronger than ever, for our peace. Sahelanthropus will unleash that thirst unto the future. Those were his last words.
Cause.
Pretentious to the end.
Episode 32, To Know Too Much. The final stretch of replayable content from Chapter 2. A CIA agent is missing in the desert, being hunted by the Soviets and XOF. This is a simple mad dash with a supply truck to reach him, then slipping away before any walker gears take notice. Episode 35, Cursed Legacy. I decided to do an all boss weapons run of this mission, mixing petrol bombs with the shotgun to take on the first squad of riot suit guys.
Become one in the forest. The forest is aware of the enemy's noise. You must be too.
Followed up with the machine gun to take on the second, then exfiltrating by, of course, flying away on the second container. Episode 38. Extraordinary. As soon as I hit the ground, I immediately tell Pequod to come back for the pickup. I start sprinting for Spoog May Keep, making sure to lay down a mine to catch out a jeep that I might run into on the way back. Taking one quick look at the corrupted photograph, I knew exactly where the film canister was. Making my way back to Pequod, I see the jeep go up in smoke, and we fly away. Episode 41. Proxy War Without End. This is the final regular mission of Metal Gear Solid 5, and it's time for Outer Heaven to do some field testing. 100 stories below ground level.
He's got a secret weapon ready!
Metal Gear TX-55. In the form of D-Walker, armed with homing missiles, submachine guns, an intercept head, and a skull machete to replace its inability to crush and stomp enemy vehicles. Although the skull machete didn't get any use this mission, it was all mines, C4, and homing missiles to take out the gunship.
That's the way.
That of course leads into episode 43, Shining Lights, Even in Death.
We've got another parasite outbreak in the laboratory on the quarantine platform.
What the?
We've sealed all the exits to keep it from spreading. No one's getting out.
Thank you. Opened fire when we entered. I couldn't bring myself to shoot back. She said, boss, never point a weapon at one of your own.
Boss,
What the hell happened?
I'm no snail.
Damn it.
Snail. Yes, of course. It all makes sense now. Do not let anyone showing symptoms get outside. As infection progresses, it triggers an overwhelming urge to get out in the open. That's the parasite controlling them. Once outside, the birds will feed on infected bodies, spreading the parasite on land. The whole world will be infested.
There's nothing we could have done for them. We're all grateful, boss.
I won't scatter your sorrow to the heartless sea. I will always be with you. Plant your roots in me. You're all diamonds.
We're not burying them at sea. What then?
We'll make diamonds from their ashes. Take them into battle with us.
A shining light to our brothers in arms, even in death.
We are diamond dogs.
We've only used her once in this entire run. As part of breaking the rules, Quiet's been captured by the Soviets and there's a mechanized unit inbound. It's up to us two to fight them off. The Soviets had no chance between the endless barrage of missiles I could throw out as well as knowing where to place the mines in C4. And when it comes to the final tanks that can easily one-shot you, you can just hide behind Lamar Hatake Palace as cover.
I am quiet. I am the absence of words.
It feels like we've forgotten something. Well, okay. One last mission. Eli has stolen Sahelanthropus and demanding Big Boss's body.
You're not a kid anymore. You can call your own shots. But at this rate, you'll be dead before you have a chance.
I'll break the curse of my heritage. And to do that, first, I will kill you!
We can't leave tech like that in the hands of a raving 12-year-old. But the only thing that can stand up to a Metal Gear is, of course, another Metal Gear.
Destroy that thing.
Soldier.
I will kill you!
That's right. Don't blame yourself. Blame me.
Ultimately, this leads to Venom realizing the truth. Ishmael wasn't a mad hallucination. He was Big Boss.
I'm Big Boss. And you are too. No. He's the two of us together. Where we are today, we built it. This story, this legend, it's ours. we can change the world and with it the future. From here on out, you're big boss.
That's not a man who hates his position. That's the smile of a man who's up for the challenge ahead, even if he ultimately becomes something he can't bear to look at in the mirror.